Right now, beneath one of America's most beautiful national parks, something enormous is stirring. It's bigger than any weapon ever built. It has reshaped the entire continent more than once. And in 2025, for the first time, scientists finally saw where it's hiding and realized it's been quietly moving. This is the story of the sleeping giant under America. What it really is, what it could do, and why. Despite everything you've heard, you can probably sleep just fine tonight. Start with the ground itself. Every year, millions of people walk across Yellowstone National Park. They photograph the geysers, the steaming pools, the boiling mud, the impossible colors. It's postcard perfect. Most of them never realize they're standing directly on top of one of the largest volcanic systems on the planet. Those geysers, that steam, that heat rising through the ground, it isn't scenery. It's the breath of the giant underneath. Because Yellowstone isn't a mountain volcano like the ones you picture. There's no towering peak waiting to blow its top. Instead, the volcano is the park. The entire landscape sits inside a caldera, a vast crater 45 miles across, left behind when the ground collapsed after a colossal eruption hundreds of thousands of years ago. You could fit over 60 islands of Manhattan inside it. When you drive through Yellowstone, you are driving across the scar of one of the most violent events this continent has ever seen. And that violence is not ancient history that ended long ago. Yellowstone has erupted on a massive scale 3 times in the last 2 million years. The most recent great eruption, around 630,000 years ago, blasted out enough material to bury vast stretches of North America. Before that, another, and before that, another. Each one left its mark on the land Americans live on today. The rich soils, the dramatic canyons, the hot springs, all of it is the inheritance of the giant. So what exactly is powering it? Deep beneath the park lies something called a hotspot, a plume of superheated rock rising from deep inside the Earth's mantle, hundreds of miles down. It's the same kind of feature that built the Hawaiian Islands. As North America slowly drifts over this fixed plume across millions of years, the hotspot burns a track across the land like a blowtorch held under a moving sheet of metal. Yellowstone is simply where that blowtorch is pointed right now. The plume feeds a reservoir of magma in the crust above it, and that magma is what fuels the eruptions. For a long time, though, there was a problem. Scientists knew the magma was down there, but they couldn't see it clearly. They didn't know exactly how much there was or precisely where it was concentrated. And when you can't see something that powerful, your imagination fills in the blanks. That's where the myths come from. Then, in 2025, that changed. A team from the United States Geological Survey published a breakthrough in the journal Nature. Instead of relying on earthquakes alone, they used a method that measures the electrical conductivity of the rock deep underground. Molten rock conducts electricity up to 1,000 times better than solid rock. So by mapping how electricity moved through the depths, they could finally paint a 3-dimensional picture of the magma itself. For the first time, they could see the giant's true shape. And what they found was fascinating and reassuring in a way the headlines rarely admit. Yes, there is a staggering amount of magma down there, somewhere between 400 and 500 cubic kilometers of hot, silica-rich rock. But it is not one vast lake of liquid fire waiting to burst. It's scattered, trapped in pockets, each one making up only a small fraction of the solid rock around it. Overall, the chamber beneath Yellowstone is only somewhere between 5 and 15% molten. The rest is hot, but solid, more like a crystal-packed sponge than a churning cauldron. That single fact undoes most of the fear. For a super eruption to happen, you need enormous volumes of connected, eruptible magma. What's actually down there is mostly solid mush. Scientists aren't even certain there's currently enough eruptible magma to feed another giant eruption at all. But the study revealed something else. And this is the part that genuinely surprised researchers. The magma isn't evenly spread. Most of it is now concentrated under the northeast of the caldera. The western part of the system, where past activity was focused, appears to be cooling and winding down. Meanwhile, in the northeast, hot basalt rising from below is pumping fresh heat upward, slowly building the reservoir there. In other words, the giant is shifting. The center of its power is migrating across the landscape, just as it has for millions of years. It's alive, it's dynamic, and it's on the move. Only far too slowly for any human to ever watch it happen. Now, let's be honest about the nightmare scenario, because it's real, even if it's remote. If Yellowstone ever did have a full super eruption, it would be unlike anything in recorded human history. The initial blast would break through the weakest point in the crust faster than the speed of sound. A column of ash and pumice would punch to the edge of space within minutes. Modeling by USGS scientists shows ash more than a centimeter deep, blanketing an area of several million square kilometers. The states around the park, Wyoming, Montana, Idaho, would be buried in many meters of ash. Denver and Salt Lake City would face crippling ashfall. Even Chicago and San Francisco, thousands of kilometers away, would get a dusting. The ash would clog engines, collapse roofs, poison crops, and ground aircraft across the country. And because ash particles seed rainfall, much of America would turn to mud. Beyond the borders, the planet would cool for years as the ash veiled the sun. It would be a genuinely national and global catastrophe. So that's the giant at its worst. Here's the crucial part the tabloids leave out. The odds of that happening in your lifetime are almost incomprehensibly small. The United States Geological Service estimates the annual probability of a Yellowstone supereruption at roughly 1 in 730,000. To put that in perspective, you are around 40 times more likely to be struck by lightning this year than to witness a Yellowstone supereruption. And that overdue claim you've heard 100 times? It's a myth. It comes from averaging the gaps between past eruptions and pretending the volcano follows a schedule. It doesn't. The real intervals are wildly irregular, hundreds of thousands of years apart, with no clock ticking underneath. The USGS states plainly that Yellowstone is not overdue for anything. Even more reassuring, right now, today, Yellowstone's alert level is completely normal. The most likely future eruption isn't a continent-ending blast at all. It's a modest lava flow, like the one that last occurred there around 70,000 years ago, which would disrupt the park but threaten few lives. The real dangers at Yellowstone today aren't the volcano at all. They're the hot springs. Since 1870, at least 22 people have died, not from eruptions, but from falling into scalding water hotter than boiling. The giant isn't what hurts visitors. Their own carelessness near the thermal pools is. And here's what should actually make an American proud rather than afraid. Yellowstone is the most closely watched supervolcano on Earth. A network of instruments, seismographs, GPS stations that detect ground movement of just a few millimeters, gas sensors, satellites, tracks the giant's every twitch, day and night. When the north rim of the caldera rose slightly in 2025, scientists saw it immediately, watched it, and confirmed by early 2026 that it had stopped. Nothing this giant does goes unnoticed. If it ever truly began to stir toward an eruption, we would have not days, but likely years or decades of clear warning signs. Swelling ground, swarms of a very specific kind of earthquake, changing gases. We are not blind to it. We are standing over it with our eyes wide open. That's the real story of the sleeping giant under America. It's colossal. It's genuinely powerful enough to reshape the nation. It built the very ground beneath one of the country's greatest treasures. And in 2025, we finally saw its true face. Scattered, mostly solid, slowly drifting northeast, and fast asleep. It is not a countdown. It is not a ticking bomb. It is one of the most awe-inspiring forces on the continent, and thanks to the people who watch it every single day, it's a giant we understand better now than at any point in human history. So the next time you see Yellowstone's geysers erupt into the sky, don't picture the end of the world. Picture the breath of a sleeping giant that has cradled this land for millions of years. And remember that, for once, the monster under the ground is one we're actually keeping watch over. If this changed the way you think about what's beneath your feet, you know what to do with that like button. And if you want to know about another force that could reshape your life far sooner than any volcano, the sun is aiming something directly at Earth, and that story is waiting for you right now.